The galaxy's most powerful alien races sat around the massive round table, their voices echoing through the room. They were all waiting for the meeting to begin, but there was a feeling of amusement in the air. The topic: Earth. It wasn't the first time they had discussed the small, insignificant planet, but today was different. The Earth fleet had been spotted near the outskirts of the galaxy, and the alien leaders had gathered to talk about it. They had seen the fleet before, and they couldn't help but laugh. To the aliens, Earth was nothing more than a primitive world, a place where humans still used outdated technology and fought wars with weapons that seemed ancient compared to the advanced civilizations around them. The idea that these humans would pose any threat was laughable. They had barely escaped extinction centuries ago. The aliens were sure that Earth was too weak to even put up a fight. A tall alien from the Thrillock Empire spoke first. His voice was deep and rich, full of confidence. "I've heard about Earth's new fleet. They think they can protect themselves from us." He chuckled, his sharp teeth showing. "Their ships are nothing more than floating rust buckets. I'm sure they won't last 5 minutes in a real battle." The others laughed with him, their voices filling the room. Some of them even slapped their knees, finding the thought of an Earth fleet standing against them hilarious. Another alien, this one from the Zaldric Dominion, joined in. "I saw the photos. The ships looked like they came from a scrapyard. How could anyone take them seriously?" The Zaldric's multiple eyes gleamed as he spoke, enjoying the mocking tone. "I'm willing to bet they couldn't even defend themselves against an asteroid storm." The laughter continued. To the aliens, the Earth fleet was nothing but a joke. Their ships were old, barely able to compete with even the smallest of the alien warships. Humans were seen as weak, their technology far behind the rest of the galaxy. Everyone in the room knew that when the time came, Earth's fleet would be crushed under the might of their advanced weapons and superior tactics. But one alien, a quiet one from the Sindari Union, did not laugh. She watched the others with a frown, her long tentacles twisting nervously. The Sindari were a peaceful race, but they were highly intelligent, and something about the humans bothered her. She had studied Earth's history, its rise from a small planet to a powerful species. She had seen the determination in their eyes, the way they fought against impossible odds and survived. "Are we really underestimating them?" she asked softly, her voice barely audible over the laughter. The room fell silent. Everyone turned to look at her, as if they had just realized she had spoken. The Sindari's reputation for wisdom was well known, and her question made them think. "Oh, please," scoffed the Thrillock, his deep voice dripping with sarcasm. "What, you think they have some kind of secret weapon? A magic trick?" He grinned, showing his sharp teeth again. "They don't stand a chance. We've seen their ships. They're old. They're slow. They have nothing to match our firepower." The Zaldric laughed even harder. "I'm sure their so-called fleet is just a desperate attempt to get attention. Let's be honest, the only thing they're good at is surviving against odds. But survival isn't enough when you face real power. When we attack, they won't even know what hit them." The Sindari didn't say anything more. She had no choice but to listen. She knew the aliens were right in many ways. Earth was a small, struggling world in the vast galaxy. But something in her gut told her that the humans weren't as helpless as they seemed. The meeting continued with jokes and mockery about the humans. But deep down, the Sindari couldn't shake the feeling that they were making a big mistake. Earth's fleet might be small and weak by the galaxy's standards, but the humans had always surprised everyone before. They had an uncanny ability to fight back, no matter how impossible the odds seemed. The alien leaders laughed and joked. certain that Earth was no threat. But what they didn't know was that they had already underestimated humanity's greatest strength, the will to survive. The humans had faced countless challenges, and every time they had been knocked down, they got back up, stronger and more determined. The laughter continued as the leaders made plans to destroy the Earth fleet, confident in their victory. Little did they know, their biggest mistake was yet to come. The moment the Earth fleet entered the battlefield, the aliens were sure it would be an easy victory. The galaxy's most powerful warships loomed in the distance, and the human ships looked like nothing more than rusting metal scraps. The aliens smirked as they prepared for what they thought would be a short, one-sided fight. They were ready to destroy the human fleet in minutes and return home without a scratch. But then, something unexpected happened. The Earth fleet didn't move like the aliens expected. The humans didn't rush in with reckless attacks or try to engage in direct combat. Instead, they kept their distance, moving in tight, organized formations. The aliens couldn't understand why the humans weren't coming at them with all their firepower. It seemed strange, almost like the humans were waiting for something. The aliens laughed at first. "What are they waiting for?" the Thrylok general asked with a smug grin. "They're just sitting there like they have all the time in the galaxy." The Zaldric commander, who had been laughing the loudest during their earlier meeting, raised an eyebrow. "They're probably trying to make us think they're clever, but they don't have the strength to do anything." He signaled for the fleet to advance, sure that this would be over soon. The first wave of alien ships charged forward, their weapons ready. They fired powerful blasts of energy, confident that their superior firepower would crush the humans instantly. But as the blasts sped toward the human fleet, something amazing happened. The Earth ships didn't try to dodge or run. They did something much smarter. They scattered in every direction, spreading out across the battlefield. The alien blasts missed by miles. And then the humans began to fight back. The human ships launched small, quick strikes, hitting the alien ships from unexpected angles. The alien commanders were confused. How could humans, who were supposed to be weak and unskilled, attack like this? The alien ships tried to focus their fire on the human ships, but each time they locked onto one, another one appeared from a different direction. It was like fighting shadows. The humans were everywhere, and nowhere at the same time. The Thrylok general clenched his fists in frustration. "They're not fighting like we thought they would. What kind of tricks are they using?" The Zaldric commander growled, his multiple eyes scanning the battlefield. "This is impossible. Their ships are too fast for us to target. And their movements, they're unpredictable." The aliens were starting to feel something they had never expected to feel when facing Earth: doubt. The battle raged on, and the Earth fleet's unexpected tactics became more apparent. The humans used their ships in ways the aliens had never seen. Some Earth ships would retreat, only to suddenly reappear from behind an asteroid, firing a deadly barrage at the aliens. Others used the nearby planets and debris fields to hide and launch surprise attacks. Every time the aliens thought they had the upper hand, the humans would slip away and strike again. The alien fleet, once confident and full of power, was now struggling to keep up. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were making the alien fleet look foolish. Then came the most surprising part of the battle. The humans, with their outdated ships and seemingly limited technology, launched a coordinated attack that knocked out one of the largest alien warships. A Zaldric flagship, thought to be unbeatable, was suddenly crippled. Explosions rocked the ship as its shields failed, and its weapons went offline. The alien crew was in chaos. The humans didn't stop. They continued to hit alien ships with precision, taking out smaller vessels with ease. The aliens tried to regroup, but their strategy had fallen apart. They couldn't predict the humans' next move. The Earth fleet was everywhere, too fast, too clever, and too determined to lose. The Three-Lock General's voice cracked with disbelief as he shouted orders to his fleet. "This can't be happening. They're outsmarting us. Focus fire on those ships now." But it was too late. The Earth fleet had already gained the advantage. The aliens were no longer laughing. They were scrambling to recover, trying to hold on to the battle that was slipping away from them. Every time they thought they had the upper hand, the humans turned the tables again. The Sindari alien, who had been silent for so long, watched with growing concern. She had known the humans were clever, but she hadn't expected this. Their tactics were unlike anything she had seen before. They weren't fighting like warriors. They were fighting like survivors. Each move was calculated, and each ship seemed to have a purpose. She realized, with a sinking feeling, that the humans were not to be underestimated. As the battle dragged on, the aliens could no longer ignore the truth. The humans were winning. It wasn't because they had better weapons or bigger ships. It was because they were fighting with something the aliens didn't have, something the humans had always had: the will to survive. The battle raged on, but the aliens were starting to realize something. Earth's fleet wasn't just fighting smart. It was almost as if the humans knew exactly how to counter every move the aliens made. At first, the aliens had laughed, thinking the human ships were nothing but a collection of outdated junk. But now, those same ships were causing problems that the alien fleets couldn't fix. The Three-Lock General was growing desperate. "We've got to figure out how they're doing this," he muttered to his officers, his face tight with frustration. "There's no way their ships should be able to move like this. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Where are they getting this power from?" The aliens had believed their own technology was the strongest in the galaxy. They had advanced weapons, powerful shields, and fast ships. And yet, these humans, who had no business being able to fight at this level, were somehow holding their own. Worse, they were winning. The Zaldric commander, who had been watching the battle closely, agreed. "There's something we're missing," he said, rubbing his chin with multiple hands. "It's not just the speed or tactics. There's something in their ships. We need to find out what it is." They sent out scouts to gather information. What they found only deepened the mystery. It wasn't that the humans were using strange new weapons or tricks. Instead, it was something far simpler and far more terrifying. The Earth fleet had been pieced together in a way that no one could have predicted. Many of the ships were indeed old, even ancient by galactic standards. But the humans had done something incredible. They had learned how to adapt and improve the alien technology they had gathered over the years. They didn't just steal it. They understood it. They knew how to make it better. One of the scouts reported back with shocking news. "We found it, General," he said, voice filled with disbelief. "The humans didn't just use our technology. They've turned it into something more. They've taken pieces from every alien race they've encountered and somehow made it all work together." The general's mind raced. The humans had figured out how to take alien technology, stuff that even the most advanced species in the galaxy had struggled to use, and turned it into a weapon. They didn't have the best ships, but they had something more valuable: creativity. The humans had found a way to make their ships faster, more powerful, and harder to target. The alien weapons they had scavenged were being used in ways the aliens never intended. Earth's engineers had reverse-engineered alien tech, not just to copy it, but to understand it and make it work for them. It was as if they had unlocked the hidden secrets of the galaxy and were using them against their creators. The Sindari alien, who had been quiet throughout most of the battle, spoke up again. It's not just their ships. Look at how they'd fight. They'd been studying us, learning our strategies, and using them against us. They know how we think. The alien commanders were forced to admit that the Sindari was right. The humans had not only adapted alien technology, they had also studied their enemies' tactics. Each move Earth's fleet made seemed to anticipate what the alien ships would do next. It was like they had already seen the battle play out before it even started. "This is impossible," the Thrylok general muttered, his mind racing. "They're not just fighting us. They're playing a game we didn't even know we were part of." It wasn't just the weapons or the tactics. There was something else the aliens hadn't understood. The humans' drive to survive was unlike anything the aliens had ever encountered. They fought not just to win, but to protect their world, everything they held dear. And that determination gave them a strength that the aliens could not match. But what was more frightening was that the humans weren't just adapting. They were innovating. They were taking the alien technology they had scavenged and using it in ways no one had thought possible. Some ships had alien energy shields that deflected incoming fire, while others had weapons that could bypass even the most advanced defenses. It was a puzzle that the aliens couldn't solve, and it made them more nervous with every passing minute. This is beyond anything we expected," the Zaldric commander said, his voice now filled with fear. "Their fleet. It's not what we thought it was. It's more. And we've underestimated them." The aliens had never expected Earth to be capable of such ingenuity. They had assumed that the humans were weak and unworthy of respect. But now they were seeing the truth. Earth's fleet wasn't a joke. It was a force to be reckoned with. As the battle continued, the aliens began to retreat. It wasn't because they were outnumbered. Earth's fleet was still small in comparison. But the aliens were learning the hard way that the humans were much smarter, much more creative, and far more dangerous than they had ever realized. The secrets of Earth's fleet were no longer hidden. The humans had revealed their strength in ways the galaxy would never forget. The battle had been raging for hours, and the alien fleets were beginning to feel the strain. At first, they had been confident, sure that the humans' outdated ships would be no match for their superior technology. But now, as Earth's fleet continued to fight back with relentless precision, the aliens' confidence was starting to crack. The Thrylok general paced back and forth on the bridge of his flagship, his sharp claws clicking against the metal floor. His eyes were narrowed in frustration. He had never expected the humans to be this difficult to defeat. They weren't just surviving. They were pushing back. And every time he thought he had a chance to land a decisive blow, the humans would vanish into the chaos of the battlefield, only to reappear and strike again. "Why won't they break?" the Thrylok general growled, slamming his fist into the console. His officers looked at each other nervously. They had no answer. The aliens had thrown everything they had at Earth's fleet: powerful weapons, advanced shields, and highly skilled pilots. They had used every trick in their arsenal. But the humans kept coming. Every alien ship that was destroyed seemed to be replaced by another, even as their own numbers were steadily shrinking. "Keep the pressure on them," the Zaldric commander barked, his multiple eyes scanning the battlefield. But even he could see that the humans were starting to gain the upper hand. The human ships were using the debris fields, asteroids, and distant moons to their advantage. They moved with incredible speed, darting in and out of hiding, striking when the aliens least expected it. It was like hunting a ghost. The alien ships could never predict where the humans would strike next, and it was starting to frustrate them. The aliens had never encountered an enemy who fought with such unpredictability and skill. They were used to enemies who fought by the book, following patterns they could understand and control. But the humans, they were chaos itself, an unpredictable storm of firepower and tactics. The Threelok general's voice was tight with anger. "They can't keep this up forever," he muttered, his mind racing. "Eventually, their ships will break down. They don't have the resources we do. Just wait." But as the battle wore on, the humans showed no signs of slowing down. In fact, they seemed to be getting stronger. The alien forces, once so confident, were now scrambling to keep up. Every time they tried to regroup, the humans were already on the move again, striking at their weak points. Then came the turning point. A massive explosion shook the battlefield as a Zaldric warship, once thought to be invincible, erupted into flames. The humans had done it. They had finally managed to cripple one of the largest alien ships. The explosion sent shockwaves through the alien fleet, and for the first time, the Threelok general felt fear creeping into his mind. "That was our strongest ship," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "How did they?" The answer came quickly. The humans had used the alien technology they had scavenged to create a new type of weapon, one that no one had seen before. The Zaldric flagship had been hit by a focused energy beam that had bypassed its shields and pierced directly into its power core. It was a technology no one knew Earth had, and it had completely caught the aliens off guard. Now, the rest of the alien fleet was on the defensive. Their best ships were being taken down, one by one, and they had no idea how to stop it. The humans, with their ingenuity and determination, were turning the tide of the battle. "This is impossible," the Zaldric commander muttered, his voice filled with disbelief. "How are they doing this? They shouldn't be able to fight like this." The Threelok general clenched his teeth. "Focus your fire on those ships. Don't let them win." But his orders came too late. The Earth fleet was already shifting tactics again, hitting their enemies from every angle, exploiting weaknesses in the alien ships' designs that the aliens hadn't even noticed before. The Sindari alien, who had been quietly watching the battle unfold, finally spoke up. "You underestimated them," she said, her voice calm but full of concern. "These humans, they're more than just survivors. They're brilliant." The Threelok general didn't respond. He was too focused on the battle. The truth was sinking in. The aliens had underestimated Earth. They had thought the humans would fold under pressure. Instead, the humans had adapted, fought with creativity, and used the aliens' own technology against them. They had found the weak spots in the alien ships, and now they were exploiting them. It wasn't just the humans' technology that was impressive. It was their ability to think outside the box. While the aliens relied on brute force and overwhelming numbers, the humans relied on strategy, intelligence, and an unshakable will to win. It was that willpower that was slowly but surely turning the tide. The alien fleet was retreating now. Their numbers had dwindled, and the humans were everywhere. Every attempt to regroup was met with more explosions, more destruction. The battle that the aliens had expected to win easily had turned into a nightmare. The Threelok general watched helplessly as his fleet crumbled around him. For the first time in his long life, he was afraid. The humans had done the impossible, and the battle had turned in their favor. The battlefield had gone quiet, but the air was thick with tension. The alien fleet, once so powerful and confident, was now retreating. Earth's fleet had turned the tide in ways no one had ever imagined. The Thrilok general watched as his ships pulled back, their once proud flags now barely visible against the smoke and fire. It felt like a dream, or rather, a nightmare. For the first time in years, the aliens were losing. They had never experienced defeat on such a scale, and yet here they were, retreating from a force they had once laughed at. The truth was hitting them harder than any weapon ever could. The humans, those who had once been seen as nothing more than primitive creatures, were the ones now dictating the course of this battle. "What have we done?" the Thrilok general whispered to himself. His claws gripped the edge of the control panel tightly, his mind racing. He couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper had just happened. This wasn't just about a battle won. It was about a lesson learned. A lesson that would shake the very foundation of the galaxy. The aliens had thought they were the most advanced, the most powerful. Their ships were fast, their weapons devastating, their technology far beyond anything Earth could dream of. But now, in the wake of their defeat, they were starting to realize the truth. The humans had fought with something more than weapons. They had fought with their will, their creativity, and their intelligence. And that was something the aliens had never prepared for. "We underestimated them," the Zaldric commander muttered, his eyes wide with disbelief. "We thought they were weak. We thought they were nothing." He looked at the battle unfolding before them, a mix of awe and fear in his many eyes. But we were wrong. We were so wrong. The Thrilok general didn't answer. There was nothing to say. The truth was too painful. The aliens had believed they were the superior species, the ones who would control the galaxy. But the humans had shown them just how wrong they were. And that truth hit harder than any blast from their weapons. In the command center of Earth's fleet, Admiral Reyna stood watching the retreating alien ships. She couldn't believe what was happening. Just hours ago, she had feared for the survival of humanity. Now their enemies were running, and her fleet was on the brink of victory. It was a strange feeling, like the impossible was now within reach. But even as the humans celebrated their unexpected success, Reyna knew the truth. This wasn't just about one victory. This was about showing the galaxy that humans weren't weak, that Earth wasn't some insignificant rock in the corner of the universe. They had proven that they could fight with the best, and in some ways, they could even outsmart them. "We've done it," one of her officers said, his voice filled with awe. "We've actually done it. We've beaten them." Reyna nodded, but there was no smile on her face. She knew this was only the beginning. The battle may have been won, but the war for humanity's place in the galaxy was far from over. And now that the aliens knew what humans were capable of, they would be watching. Every move, every decision would be under their scrutiny. But there was one thing the aliens still didn't understand. Humans didn't fight for power. They fought for survival. And that was something no alien fleet had ever encountered. The Sindari alien, who had watched the retreat with a sense of quiet dread, turned to the Thrilok general. "We've made a grave mistake," she said softly. "They weren't just fighting us. They were fighting for something greater, something none of us can truly understand." The general didn't respond. He couldn't. The weight of what had just happened was too much to bear. The truth was simple, yet it crushed him like 1,000 tons of stone. The humans had outsmarted them, outblasted them, and shown them just how fragile their power really was. "They're not like us," the Sindari continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "There's something else, something more dangerous than we ever realized." The general's gaze hardened. "We'll be back," he said, his voice cold. "We'll regroup, and we'll crush them next time." But even as he spoke, the doubt lingered in his mind. He had believed that the aliens were invincible. Now he wasn't so sure. The truth was clear, and it was a truth that would stay with him forever. The humans were not to be underestimated. As Earth's fleet celebrated their victory, Reyna stood quietly, her mind already turning to the future. She knew they had won a battle, but the war was still far from over. The aliens would return, and the next fight would be even harder. But one thing had changed forever. The galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. The humans had proven their strength, their resolve, and their ability to survive against all odds. And that, Reyna thought, was just the beginning. Across the galaxy, news of the battle spread like wildfire. The alien fleets had retreated in defeat, and the once proud invaders were now scattered and broken. No one had seen it coming. The galaxy's most powerful forces, beings who had conquered countless worlds, had just been outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and beaten by a race that had once been considered nothing more than a primitive species. The galaxy was in shock. In the High Council chambers of the Ilthar Empire, a room full of powerful leaders sat in stunned silence. The Ilthar were known for their wisdom and their vast influence across the stars, but now they were at a loss for words. They had received the news just hours ago. The humans had defeated the Thrillok and Zaldric forces, a small fleet, not even close to the size of their enemies, had sent them running for their lives. How is this possible? One of the council members finally asked, his voice shaking. The humans were nothing. They were a minor species, trapped on a dying world. Another council member, a female Ilthar with silver scales, shook her head. We knew they were resourceful, but to defeat the Thrillok, that is unthinkable. The room buzzed with confusion and fear. No one had expected this. No one had expected Earth to fight back, let alone win. Across the galaxy, similar conversations were taking place in the halls of power. The Sindari, known for their elegance and calculated strategies, were equally stunned. Their spies had reported the human fleet's progress, but no one had believed it would actually happen. This is not just a victory, the Sindari commander said, looking at the holographic displays. This is a message. The humans have proven they are not to be underestimated. On the planet Eldranine, a massive space station floated above the world's surface. The Eldraki, a species known for their advanced technology and powerful weapons, were equally dumbfounded. Their commanders had watched the battle unfold from afar, certain that the humans would fall quickly. But now, they were struggling to make sense of what had just happened. They were supposed to be weak, said a high-ranking Eldraki officer, his voice filled with disbelief. How did they do it? How did they defeat the Thrillok and Zaldric? They didn't just defeat them. Another officer responded, his face grim. They outsmarted them, and that is what scares me. The Eldraki had never seen anything like it. The humans had fought with a kind of ingenuity that none of the galaxy's other species had ever expected. They didn't rely solely on brute strength or overwhelming firepower. They used their minds, their creativity, and their willingness to fight for survival. And in doing so, they had shown that they were capable of challenging the mightiest forces in the galaxy. News of the humans' victory continued to spread, reaching every corner of the galaxy. Some species, like the Vorkan, saw the humans as a new threat, something to be destroyed before they could grow too strong. Others, like the peaceful Zinari, were amazed and even impressed. They had never seen such determination from a species so young and untested. In the midst of the shock, a new question began to rise in every mind. What would Earth do next? Now that the humans had shown their strength, what would be their next move? Back on Earth, Admiral Reyna stood at the helm of the human fleet, looking out at the stars. The victory had been overwhelming, but she knew this was only the beginning. The aliens would not stop coming. They had underestimated humanity once, but now they knew what Earth was capable of. And that made the humans a target. "We've proven something," Reyna said quietly to her officers, "but we've also made ourselves known. The galaxy won't forget what happened here. We need to be ready for whatever comes next." Her words were met with quiet nods. No one needed to be reminded of the truth. Earth had won this battle, but the war was far from over. The shockwaves of the humans' victory would be felt for years to come, and Earth's place in the galaxy had changed forever. As the news reached every corner of the galaxy, one thing became clear. The humans were no longer invisible. They were a force to be reckoned with. Every species that had ignored or belittled Earth now had to face the uncomfortable truth. Humanity was not a weak, insignificant species. They had the power to fight back and to win. The galaxy would never be the same. But the question still lingered. What would the humans do with their newfound power? Would they seek revenge for past wrongs? Or would they choose a different path, one that might bring peace to the galaxy or push it to the brink of war? The universe watched, waiting for the answer. The dust from the battle had barely settled, but Earth was already changing. The victory over the Thrylok and Zaldric fleets had done more than just prove humanity's strength. It had awakened something inside the people of Earth. They were no longer a small, isolated world. They were a force, and the galaxy was taking notice. In the heart of Earth's capital, a massive celebration was underway. Millions of people filled the streets, cheering and waving flags. The victory was a symbol of humanity's unity, of their ability to rise up against impossible odds. It was a day they would never forget. But amid the celebration, there was a quiet understanding that this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. Admiral Reyna stood on the steps of the United Nations headquarters, looking out at the crowd. She had seen humanity at its darkest moments, during the early days of the invasion, when fear and doubt had ruled. But now, as she watched the people of Earth celebrate, she saw something different, something powerful. Hope, determination, the will to push forward no matter the cost. But Reyna knew that hope alone wouldn't be enough. The victory had been hard won, and the galaxy's attention was now fixed on Earth. The aliens who had once ignored or mocked humanity were now fully aware of their strength. Some would see Earth as a new target. Others might seek to form alliances with the humans, knowing that they had just proven their worth. "Admiral," a voice interrupted Reyna's thoughts. She turned to see one of her officers approaching, holding a datapad. "We've received a message from the Sindari." Reyna took the pad and read the message. It was brief but to the point. The Sindari, one of the galaxy's most advanced and intelligent species, were offering Earth a seat at the table. They wanted to form an alliance. "This is what I was worried about," Reyna said quietly. "The galaxy isn't going to let us stay isolated anymore. We're in the spotlight now." Her officer nodded. "We've received similar messages from other species. The Vorkan, the Eldraki, even the Ilfar. Everyone wants to talk to us." Reyna didn't respond immediately. She understood the weight of the decision they now faced. Earth could no longer hide in the shadows. They had made their mark. And now, they would have to navigate a galaxy full of powerful and unpredictable species, each with their own agendas. Back at Earth's space station, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to upgrade and expand the fleet. The humans had learned much from the battle. They had seen the weaknesses in their own ships and technology, and they were determined to fix them. Earth's fleet was growing stronger by the day, and they knew that more battles would come. But for now, the focus was on preparing for the future. Across Earth, the government held urgent meetings. Leaders from every nation gathered to discuss what came next. Some were eager to form alliances with other species, to expand Earth's influence in the galaxy. Others were cautious, fearful of what might happen if they trusted the wrong species. "The truth is," said President Vargas, addressing the world leaders, "we have a choice. We can either use this victory to push forward, to build a new future for Earth, or we can let the galaxy drag us into a war we might not win. We can't afford to be naive. We have to be smart about this." A murmur of agreement ran through the room. It was clear that the decision ahead would shape the future of Earth for generations to come. Meanwhile, in the vast reaches of space, the galaxy's most powerful leaders were already plotting. The defeat of the Thrylok and Zaldric fleets had shaken them to their core. Earth was no longer a backwater world. They were now a major player in galactic affairs. And everyone knew that where there was power, there was danger. The Ilthar, who had long been the galaxy's most influential empire, were watching Earth closely. They had sent their emissaries to Earth with promises of peace, but many saw through the offer. The Ilthar were not known for their kindness. They were known for their cunning. The Vorkan, a warlike species with an insatiable thirst for conquest, were already making plans to challenge Earth's newfound strength. They had seen the human fleet in action, and they saw it as a threat to their own dominance. The Vorkan would not sit idle for long. But despite the dangers, Earth was ready. The people of Earth had proven something no one had expected. They had proven that they could fight. And now, they were ready to fight for their future. Admiral Reyna stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, staring out at the stars. The galaxy was vast, filled with wonders and dangers beyond imagination. But Earth was no longer the small, insignificant world it once had been. The humans had earned their place in the stars. And as Reyna looked out into the unknown, she knew that whatever the galaxy threw at Earth, humanity would face it head-on, with courage, with intelligence, and most importantly, with unity. Earth's new beginning had just begun.